Hello my squids, Prize Winning Squid here, and this is going to be a little bit of a different video today. Now I know a lot of people are getting started on their digital art journeys, and that's awesome, but you're wondering what program you should pick between Procreate and Clip Studio Paint. You hear about both of them quite a bit. Well, I just started recently using Clip Studio Paint, and for my projects, it was a step up that I really needed. But maybe you don't understand why you need one or the other, and which one would be best for you depending on your level of skill, whether you're a beginner or an intermediate. This won't be an in-depth review of both programs, more of a broader sense, what they bring to the table for you. So, if you guys are interested in more content like this, or you guys like speed paints and time lapses, or VODs from streaming when I go live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on Twitch, go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment below whether you use Procreate or Clip Studio Paint. I'd love to know. Anyway, let's get started. So we'll dive in with Procreate first, because Procreate is a program I believe is the absolute best program for beginners, intermediate, experts, professionals, everyone. I believe Procreate is the absolute best program as well for traditional artists who want to make the step to digital art. It's the only program that I've ever used where essentially it feels like it's one-to-one drawing on paper. In Procreate, starting a new project is as easy as hitting the plus button in the top right-hand corner and then selecting a canvas. You can also make your own canvases as well by hitting the double plus. Then you can change everything you want in this menu, title your canvas, and now you have your canvas that you can make for all time. It's as simple as that. Then once you have your project started, this is the screen you see. This is almost one-to-one like traditional media. You have your paper in the center, you have your opacity and your side sliders on the left-hand side, where I have mine set. You have your brushes, your pens, your blurring tools, your erasers, your layers, and your color selector in the top right hand. Then you have your selection tool and your mover tool right here. You have your effects tools, your adjustments you can make. Then you can actually do some edits and some configurations as well as share from the wrench, or you can go back to your gallery. As simple as that. Procreate makes it super simple to get started and then keep going. And when you're in the project, moving around where the brushes are is as simple as clicking and scrolling. The best part about this is that every brush that you have for drawing, you also have for smudging, and you also have for erasing. That's huge. You don't have to make any changes. You simply select the brush that you want and it does exactly what you want it to do based on the parameters up to the top right. On the left hand side, when you accidentally do something, you can simply click this little back button down here and it'll erase. It'll take you back a step. And I love that. You can simply undo super quickly. There's also gestures that you can use, but I choose not to use them, at least on Procreate. One of the things that I love about Procreate is just how easy it is to get into an actual project. I don't have to sit here and figure out, well, what's my project going to be like? What parameters do I need? Where do I need to move the menus? I simply get into my project by starting my project. That's my favorite part about Procreate. If you have an idea, this feels like a straight up sketchbook. You just come in and start sketching. You don't even have to mess with anything else. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. Other things that I like is when you draw a circle and you hold down with your Apple Pencil, then you can hold down with another finger and you can make it perfectly circle. That's huge because I feel like that's a thing that we really want. And of course, in traditional media, you have different tools that allow you to do that. But I haven't seen digital tools that allow you to do that as easy and seamlessly as Procreate does. And then if you want to fill something, you can just simply drag from the color wheel up at the top and drop it. Now, mind you, there's some different things that you have to figure out on whether your color will fill the whole screen or not. However, those are things you can very quickly figure out with Procreate. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've used this program consistently. I feel like it is the perfect program for beginners because it doesn't matter where you're coming from. It doesn't matter what you're trying to achieve. you can pretty much get it done in Procreate without issue. Now, there are some things that you kind of think about. Procreate is iPad only. You're not going to find it on Android. You're not going to find it on computers. You're not going to find it anywhere else where your project might want to live. And that could be a little bit of an issue, because if you're somebody who, say, work on projects at home and then you take them to the office, well, Procreate might not be the program for you if you don't have an iPad at the office. Now, I'm working on an iPad Pro, so I have a considerable amount of screen real estate here. And I also have the ability to do some of the bigger projects that I grew up to doing from the iPad that I had previously. But I'm still running into some limitations. And one of the limitations that I'm running into is actually layer count. Now, depending on how big your canvas is, you have a hard set maximum number of layers that you can actually have in your project. And if you have bigger projects, for instance, the Stellar Witch project, a lot of the things that I had to do on this project, I had to combine them down. So I had to think, well, I'm not going to go back and I'm not going to redo parts of this project, which is fine. And there's some things I could have gotten rid of, like the palette here. I could definitely get rid of this palette layer. But my thing is, I might want to redraw this character, and having the palette layer there is very good, because the way I do it is that I like to have a layer with the colors to export and move around and give to people without having it buried into the palette menu under where theirs is. And under the colors, the palette menu is at the bottom to the very right. And you can set palettes here, and it's very, very strong. However, that's not how I work, so I use Procreate slightly differently. But mind you, that's just one layer. There are other issues that I kind of ran into, but I feel as if a lot of them could be fixed if the layer limit wasn't a hard limit like how it is. And that's one of my biggest issues with Procreate. There's some other things that I like to do and some other things that I want to do with my projects, but Procreate definitely helps with the majority of my projects. Clip Studio Paint, on the other hand, is very much like Photoshop, and it's going to be very confusing if you're coming from traditional media and you've never done digital, or you're a beginner who simply wants to learn how to draw in the first place digitally. Now, just like Procreate, you are able to have a gallery, multiple canvases up. You're able to create your own canvas as well. And what you do is, in the top left-hand corner, you click File, and then you click New, and it pops up this screen where you can change all kinds of attributes for what you're trying to do. You can click the Save button here and save the preset as any name you want, and now what you have created will be saved for all time, which I think is amazing. Mind you, with Clip Studio Paint, you can also take your work everywhere, not just on the iPad, but other computers and other devices. There is a difference though. Clip Studio Paint costs money. It costs a subscription fee. Procreate also costs money, but it's a one-time payment, and then you can use it all the time. Mind you, with Clip Studio Paint, there's different versions that you can get as well. And generally people will get the normal version, which is Pro, and not the extra version, which is XE, unless you have other things that you need to do. Clip Studio Paint also has a vast array of customization options. This is the default UI that I have on the screen right here, but I actually have already created my own workspace. And when I have my own workspace, I have everything set up the way I want to see it, the way I use it, which is amazing. I love this about Clip Studio Paint. However, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, that has a lot of icons. And unless you know exactly what you're looking at, what you're looking for, and why, that can be very intimidating and extremely confusing, especially for new artists. So I'm of the mind that Clip Studio Paint is not the program that you get when you first start, or if you're first coming over from traditional art. Clip Studio Paint is what you get if there's other needs that you have. Now, some of the things that you might want to do with Clip Studio Paint, and one of the reasons why you might choose it, is because you can do a variety of different things. such as comics or webtoons. So you'll click on the new under File, and when you click on this little guy over to the top, you actually have different things you can select here. And of course, they're at the top as well, but this gives you the names of them. And you can either make a webtoon, comic, or anything else. And then when you hit OK, there you go. It shows you the lines for your comic. You can build from there. And there's other things you can do. Within this, you can select where you don't want your coloring or your lines to go out of. You can select thought bubbles and speech bubbles directly from Clip Studio Pro's library. And you can even select 3D figures and pose them and change the poses and draw over top of them, which is helpful and very, very good for speeding up your comic work. As we know, you have to get comics out very quickly. These are things that you might want to do with Clip Studio Paint. And I feel like when you come into Clip Studio Paint with that idea in mind, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to get used to very quickly because they are things you want to do very quickly. You can also do animations. Mind you, I don't do animation because I don't know how, or it's very rudimentary, but you can. You could draw in here. And then after you draw your animation in here, there's a way that you can pick something else. And I'm not sure where it is. As I said, this isn't a deep review of either one of these programs, but to give you an idea of why you might want to use them. In Clip Studio Paint, you can make blinking eyeballs if you like. There's a lot of people and a lot of resources out there to figure out how to do things in this program. But just know that when you first start, you might be needing to learn the program itself as opposed to needing to learn how to just draw. And some other things that Clip Studio Paint does that Procreate does not do, however, could do. One of them is being able to export your comics directly to Webtoon. In the very top, you see the little clippy, the Clip Studio Paint logo almost. You click it, you come in to where some of your projects are living. You can upload them to the cloud. They give you about 10 gigs, which is fairly reasonable. But then on the left-hand side, you can actually export to Webtoon over there. Now, I've never done that, but I think you probably have to put your login and some other things. One of the other big things over here on the left-hand side is not just tips and sharing your artwork and asking questions, but the asset store. When you click the Clip Studio Asset Store and it loads up, this is your chance to download everything else that other people have uploaded, generally for free. You can find new brushes, you can find new figures, you can find tutorials, you can find soft blending, you can find models. There's all kinds of things that you can find in this little section in the asset store. Clip Studio is really, really good for people who have a lot of things that they need to do, especially when they have bigger projects, as there isn't a layer limit besides what crashes either your iPad or your PC, and there isn't any other issues that I can tell with using Clip Studio across multiple different devices. Now, some of the things that I said I do and I don't like about both programs, with Clip Studio, it is the learning curve. Now, mind you, I'm very familiar with it at this point, and I like working in it. However, the learning curve for some things still is pretty excessive. And honestly, if I could change some things in this program, it would be to make a simpler version of it, or to get rid of a lot of things by default and then very slowly add them in for when you needed them. Now, mind you, you can do that. However, I think when I opened this program the first time, I didn't know what was going on. I was very confused, and I got a little intimidated and went back to Procreate for a while, almost a year. And now I'm finally back and I'm working in this program and it feels great. There's other things that are a little bit different. I've been having a little bit of trouble trying to figure out how to get my brushes together the way that I had them in Procreate. And I think one of the issues that I really have is that in Clip Studio Paint, brushes don't work exactly the way that they do in Procreate. They feel a little bit different. And because of that, It's been taking me a little getting used to with some of the brushes and some of the options with the brushes. However, I have started to actually put some of my brushes together and figure out how to make them work. Because at the end of the day, I do want to use this program just as much as I use Procreate. This program is full featured, and the fact that I'm able to use it with so many different devices. In fact, I'm thinking about getting a new device just because I have access to Clip Studio Paint now. It's going to be a pen display tablet, and I've been looking at it. Just one of those things that at the end of the day, I could or I could not get it, but this definitely helps me towards getting that device, towards getting that thing. And I feel like other people who are in my same kind of place in terms of trying to figure out where do they go next with, if they've already outgrown some of their other tools, Clip Studio Paint is actually good for that. Honestly, it's amazing for that, if I'm being real with you. Because Clip Studio Paint has a lot of things, and I feel like it's a cheaper alternative to Photoshop. It's also used professionally. So you don't have to worry about, well, if I want to get a job, will I have to learn Photoshop? There might be some studios where you do, but you're able to actually use a lot of the Photoshop brushes and other things in Clip Studio Paint now that you couldn't before. And I think that's huge. So what should you get? Procreate or Clip Studio Paint? Well, honestly, if you're a beginner or a traditional artist who's just now coming over to digital, I think Procreate, regardless of if you want to do comic books, webtoons, or anything else, Procreate is the option for you. It's a one-time purchase, and it feels almost one-to-one with traditional art. Honestly, if you're just beginning, it's about learning the basics, the fundamentals, getting into the project, and being able to just simply do the project. When you start getting into that intermediate, or you realize that you've outgrown your space in Procreate, then you can upgrade to Clip Studio Paint. Clip Studio Paint, however, is perfect for web comics, comic books, anything that you want. You can import 3D objects very easily. There's the asset store where you can browse for hours and find anything that you want to work with. You can customize it to your specifications, and then you can take it everywhere. It's also used professionally. Not still used. It is used professionally. So there might be some places that use Photoshop, and learning Photoshop might be an option, but Clip Studio Paint will definitely get you almost everywhere you need to go. Procreate as well. Procreate is one of those programs where you get to jump in and simply just draw. It's you and the art the way it's meant to be. Not the tablets, not the pencils, not the devices and pen displays, not programs and RAM and anything else. Just you and the artwork. But you're not having to go buy supplies. You're not having to waste paper. It's awesome. I love it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. I know it's a little bit of a different video, but I kind of wanted to talk about it because I'm starting to get really excited about Clip Studio Paint and also figure out everything I need to in that program. If you guys like this video or any of my other content, please subscribe. And if you guys want anything else like this, let me know. Tell me in the comments. Also, if you guys use Procreate or Clip Studio Paint, which one do you use? Why? And which one would you switch to if you had the option? Also, if I missed anything or I was wrong about something, let me know. Because honestly, I don't know all the ins and outs of both programs, and I'm still learning every single day. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I love you, my squids. I will see you next time. And if you guys want to see me on Twitch, it's every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's the prize-winning Squid on Twitch. Also, like and subscribe here, and you guys can follow me on all my other social media. Just hit that allmylinks.com link, and we'll go from there. Love you guys. I'm out.